Hey y'all, I'm back again. It's lunchtime. Yesterday I brought my food. I brought a salad, but today didn't bring anything, so I'm gonna run out and grab something, but didn't plan to make another video, so but I'm here. I wanted to tell you guys about something that happened to me. This actually happened to me when I was about 12 years old, and I contemplated on telling you guys this, but you know what? For so many years I struggled with not telling anybody, but you know, I told close family members and close friends, but you know, when I told them, I felt like nobody believed me. So as the years went by, I just struggled with telling anybody, because not only was I scared of what people would think, but I knew that nobody would believe me. You know, people that don't have experiences like you do, like if something has happened to you but it hasn't happened to them, it's harder for them to believe that you're telling the truth. So that's what I struggle with. But I'm going to tell you guys this because I want to tell you guys about all of my experiences. And let me be very clear. I know that you guys do not know me. And there are a lot of people here on YouTube that probably are out to deceive people. I'm sure that people may have the right hearts, but they are deceiving people. There are certain people on YouTube that, you know, say that they have all of these messages from the Lord and they're like posting every day. I truly believe that you should pray for discernment, because I think there are a lot of people out there who are deceiving people. But I want to tell you this. I know you don't know me, but I come to you with everything that I tell you guys is the truth, and it's from my heart. I've only had 4 dreams ever from the Lord, but what I'm about to tell you is the absolute 100 and gazillion%. It's the truth. It happened to me. This is how I know that God is real. This is how I cannot unknow him. This is how I know 110% that he is real. Okay, guys? So, you know how when you get saved, the Holy Spirit enters into you and comes and lives within, right? Now, there's a lot of people that believe that the Holy Spirit just comes in, and maybe you may not know that he entered in until you start to hear from him or feel him. Those of you that have the Holy Spirit in you know what I'm talking about. You can't really explain what you feel, but you know the Holy Spirit is there. When I was about 12 years old, I attended a church called Free Chapel Worship Center right outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Some of you may know who this is. Pastor Franklin, he is the pastor of that church. He now has a few churches. But I attended, and I was raised at Free Chapel Worship Center right outside of Atlanta is where the church was. And let me tell you guys, that church is a very spirit-filled church. It was a Pentecostal church, so yes, there was speaking in tongues. There was a lot of getting hands laid on you. And when I was a kid, you know, I didn't really understand what that stuff was. You know, I had seen people be prayed for, and then I would see them out on the floor, I would see the pastor, you know, go and lay hands, and then I would see them fall to the ground, and I didn't really know what it was. I didn't understand it back then. But I always longed for it to happen to me. You know, it was nothing weird. It was nothing bad. I just, those experiences that people would have, I longed for that. I knew that they were having an experience with God, and I just knew that I wanted that. So during that time, the youth center was in the process of being built. So it took them a few months, but the youth center had finally opened up. So I believe it wasn't on a Sunday. I believe it was a Wednesday night, and they had finally opened up the youth center. So I had attended for the first time. So I was not in the in the service with my mom, and they had a guest speaker come in that night. And I remember, all I remember was being in the crowd, being, there was praise and worship going on. And the praise and worship must have lasted for a long time. And I just remember being in the crowd of all these other children. And I remember listening to the music, we were all standing up, and I just remember praying to God. Like, as a 12-year-old, you don't really know what to say, but I was just, telling him how much I loved him, how much I was thankful for everything that he was doing in my life. Like, I love you so much, I care for you. Like, just anything that I could say to him, I said. And it wasn't anything professional, it wasn't some type of professional prayer. I didn't know what to say, but I just prayed to him. And it felt like a long time. And I just kept on and on and on. And I had this yearning and I had this desire. I didn't know what for, but it was for him. I know it was. And so the pastor had an altar call. And I remember he had called all of the youth down. He said, if you would like to be prayed for, come on down. And I didn't have a hesitation, like, whatsoever. And as soon as I went down there, I remember I was standing in this line of youth. And I remember the pastor coming by. And as soon as he came by and laid his hands on me and started praying for me, the Holy Spirit was so strong in that place that all I remember was I was knocked down to the ground. Not knocked down in a bad way, because there are people behind you that catch you. And I just remember being on the floor and just this uncontrollable crying that I couldn't stop. And it wasn't a bad cry, it was a good cry. And I remember I couldn't move, I couldn't open my eyes. I was completely just being drowned by the Holy Spirit. And let me tell you, if you can, this is the best way I can describe it. If you could imagine being under, like physically being under a waterfall, it felt like my stomach was open and it felt like I was laying under a waterfall, and it literally felt like physical water being flowed into my stomach throughout my whole body. It was like a rushing waterfall. Physically, guys, like if you can imagine laying under a waterfall and it hitting your stomach and filling you, that's what it felt like. And guys, the Holy Spirit was physically filling me. And it was just an uncontrollable crying. I couldn't move. I remember I must have been out for a while, because the adult service had ended, because I remember I opened my eyes for a split second, like what I could physically do. I opened my eyes for a split second and I saw my mom kneeling down next to me. And I just remember closing my eyes back, and it was just this rushing waterfall all throughout my body, physically, guys. And it must have lasted, like I said, for a long time, and then I just remember it being over with. But guys, I was physically filled with the Holy Spirit so strongly, I couldn't move. My physical body couldn't, the Holy Spirit was filling me to a certain point where I almost couldn't handle it physically. He only gave me so much to what I could handle. Does that make sense? It was the best thing that I've ever experienced in my life. And sometimes the Holy Spirit just enters in, and you may not know it at the time. But I want to ask you something. How strong is your faith? How strong is your faith? How do you truly believe that God can move in those type of ways? That you could physically have a physical encounter with the Holy Spirit? I promise you guys, it happened to me. So if you guys think he's just up there and that, he doesn't come along and do that, then you got a rude awakening, because I was physically filled with the Holy Spirit, guys. I cannot unknow him. I can't. I know 110% that he is real. and he filled me physically. I don't know why he chooses to come on strong that way. Maybe my faith was so strong, I yearned and desired for him so badly that, I don't know, he just chose to fill me that strongly and physically. It was amazing. So I want you guys to understand that don't limit your faith, because he can move in ways that you would never believe. And if you don't know what to believe, ask him. Truly seek him and desire him. He wants to do big things, guys. So, you know, for some of you who come at me and ask me and attack me and say, how do you know God is real? All you have to do is seek him, and he will reveal himself to you. I don't, you know, how he chooses to do it with you is how he chooses. But he's real, y'all. So, you know, there's many other religions that are converting to Christianity because Allah and Buddha, you know, they're spending all their time praying to these gods, and they're not answering. They're not doing anything. They're not moving. And so many people are converting because God's showing up. So don't limit your faith to what he can do. Like, if you believe that he'll show up and he'll do, then he will. So when you ask me, how do you know that God is real? I had a physical encounter with the Holy Spirit. I was on the ground, pinned down, couldn't move, uncontrollable crying. I was literally in the presence of the Holy Spirit, and he physically filled me guys. So I would love to hear how you guys, you know, I would love to hear your experiences, but I wanted to share that with you. I cannot unknow him if I tried, because of that experience. So I wanted to share it with you. Know that I'm coming from a good place. Know that I'm coming to you with truth, because I think a lot of people are being deceived out there. But when I tell you he's real, he's the real deal, y'all. And he physically filled me. I can't unknow him. So if you want to come to a place where you can't unknow him, ask him to show up. That's all I can say, guys. So hope that y'all found encouragement with that. You know, and you know, I would love to hear, you know, if you have stories, you know, when you guys see Benny Hinn on TV, when you see people being prayed for and they fall out, don't mock, because I promise you may think that there are a lot of big pastors out there who are just trying to make a lot of money, but I promise you guys, Benny Hinn is the real deal as well. And God uses him. And that, what you see when they fall out they're being physically filled with the Holy Spirit. God shows up in churches like that strongly. When you invite him in that type of way, that immensely, he will show up. If you believe, he will show up. So, you know, I had never attended a Benny Hinn crusade, but what you have seen has happened to me. I can attest. I can tell you. So believe he'll show up like that in your life, and he will. So hope you all have an awesome day. Gonna go get some lunch. Talk to y'all soon.